Yeah, it was a little more crowded, but yeah, anytime you're ready, you go right ahead. And I suggested last night that if they had their talking points or that rubric beside you to kind of guide you as you're talking, that might be a great thing. And in case you forget something or you want to come back to it. And I'm just basically going to listen and I'll be writing some comments as we go, and then we'll just talk when you're done.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead and try to share. Let's make sure you can share your screen and then I'll
Mm,
mute and
If it's
so
not turned on, I just hit a
there we
request.
go. And I just allowed it. So hopefully
Mm,
it will work.
mm, Can you?
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay, let's see if I can navigate all my tabs. Okay, so for my first emphasis, I did the book study, Help for Billy. Um, I just to be honest, I'm not a strong reader. I don't love reading. It's not something that I've always enjoyed, but this book was I really enjoyed it. I actually ended up, I had the physical copy, but then I also listened to the audiobook, so I would kind of followed along and I highlighted a ton. I have a ton of pages marked. It was a book that I'm super excited about. It just, I think, really relates to what I'm doing in special education right now and some of the kiddos on my caseload. And so what she did is she broke down like emotions and behaviors that students present if they've experienced trauma. And I have two kids on my caseload right now that have severe trauma. And I was really able, like every time I came across something, I was like, oh my gosh, that relates to the kiddo I'm working with. So that was really kind of cool and interesting to see that I could already relate it to everything I'm doing. So that was what I did for that. And then for let me pull up my website. Sorry, I can't get my tabs. Okay. So for the standards that I worked on within this one, um, the biggest project that I did for one of my for Learning Outcome 2 is I actually created a website that I was able to share with my colleagues, and it's just about trauma and working with those students. So it goes through, I just did education beyond trauma and resources to help support student growth. So this is my main page, and then I have articles and website resources that I had pulled. I have video resources, strategies for helping students through trauma, and then just an overview of the book study that I did. And so for the strategies, I actually pulled 10 strategies that were pulled from the book to help students that have severe trauma. So some of those were like avoid using praise for encouragement, and it talked about how that just negatively can impact them because they're always searching for that praise. Shifting the view of a reward system, avoiding sticker charts or treasure boxes because it actually causes them more stress. That one was a big one that I really related to one of my students, just of how those reward systems freaked them out during the school year. So that was something really interesting to see. And then I pulled in examples from the book for each of those. Create a positive and welcoming classroom community and strategies for that. Allow the students to move around, and I listed the movements that they suggested were most helpful for those kiddos. Providing frequent breaks, avoiding seclusion, so don't seclude kids with trauma. Provide clear transitions and prep for changes. Use nonverbal communication. Create a safe emotional space. And then provide visual aids to support the student's day. And that those were all pulled from the book. So those were some strategies that I was able to help um, and share with colleagues through that. And then from there, I provided 5 article and website resources. So different, the National Child Traumatic Stress Network, that one's helping schools become more trauma informed, and that provided a lot of information. NEA, the National Education Association, was one I pulled. It provides schools overview on schools being trauma informed and what they can do. And then this one was just about mental health within children, childhood trauma. The Child Mind Institute was an article that discusses how trauma affects children in school, and I actually learned a lot throughout that article. And then the Chester Street Foundation is just providing more resources, not only for schools, but actually for families who work with children. And then from there, I did 5 videos. So these video resources are linked, just different people that kind of showed why schools need to be trauma informed and how we can help navigate students that have that trauma background. So I did 5 videos linked with that. And then the last one was just my reflection on the book and just what was all laid out through the 2 parts. So that was a website that I was able to create and I shared. That was one of my big projects for the book study. Um, and it was time consuming, but I feel like it'll be helpful for a lot of us there. So that was the first one I did. And then just for the application of that, I felt like when I was creating my website, I was able to better understand the students and provide resources not only for me but for my coworkers and just to help us be more open-minded when working with them and have a better understanding of okay, their behaviors are stemming from their trauma, not from them just being defiant. I feel like I can better support the kids on my caseload this year just through this book. It was cool to see in the book she compared a typical student to the student with trauma. And so you're able to compare the two. And so that was something that I really took away and was able to apply through that. And then one of my other projects that I did so I did 2, let me find it. Sorry, I'm scrolling a lot. My final project that I did a reflection with my colleagues. I was able to meet with them and share what I found in the book and how it relates to what we do in special education. So that was something that one of the final projects I did, and then I did the website for another project, and then the last one was I created a reflection video for the professor to see kind of how it related to what I'm doing. So those were the 3 big projects that I did for that. Um, my analysis for it, I really hope to take a lot away. I took a lot away from it, but I hope to utilize a lot of what I learned this coming school year. I learned a lot of strategies that I didn't think about last year in my first year of SPED, and I am hopeful that what I learned this year will um, help me kind of navigate those challenges that I have with them. And so that's something that I hope kind of influenced what I'm doing and the outcomes I kind of want to go is to help them be more independent, give them a voice, just help them navigate through their trauma. Becoming trauma informed is something that's really important to me now, especially before, but now after reading this book and just seeing how important it is, that's what I'm really taking away. And so I want to become more trauma informed to help with these kiddos to be able to provide them their safe space, provide them a trusted adult, and help them be successful. And I feel like I was able, from this book study, I was able to take away more important aspects of how I can be a stronger SPED teacher to help those kiddos with traumatic backgrounds. It's kind of eye-opening to see the numbers are growing increasingly on kids that have trauma, and you don't always see it, but it's important that we do become trauma informed to help them with their overall progress. And that was a big reflection for me after this book study was just what else can I do? What more can I do to support them? And so that's something that I really want to work on this year is finding how to support them. And then when looking at my portfolio, my cover page, my passion with kids really started with softball and kind of carried in to that. And so I'm excited to continue working with kiddos, but also I think something that I'm really going to strive for is becoming trauma informed to help with the social emotional aspect. And then I linked to so for the dynamic learning leadership, that's when I did the website creation is what I put in there. So it was created to provide insight on the importance of schools and educators being trauma informed, and then all those strategies, the videos, and everything that I linked through there is part of that dynamic learning. Collaborative knowledge is where I linked my meeting with my colleagues, and then I just put in this is just my it'll go through my reflection. So who I wrote with, and I wrote a paragraph of kind of our reflection. We had a lot of positive conversations about who we were working with and the ideas. The two colleagues that I was able to reflect with actually work in our autism program with a lot of nonverbal kiddos. So it's kind of cool too to see maybe some strategies they can implement that would work for them just in their dynamic and setting. And we were able to connect all those peoples together. So that was my reflection with them. Um, and then I did for this one the reflective practice. This is just my reflection video that I linked there. I listed my key takeaways from the book, what I learned, and how I hope to use it in my classroom moving forward. And then my blog is linked in my thing. I still don't have any badges from that class or any certificates for that. So I don't have any on that page. And then my standards, Castle is one. This is a website I'm still kind of exploring. It provides a lot of information on social emotional needs for students. Um, it's kind of interesting. It provides a lot for teachers and for families. So that's a website that I get on a lot now with social emotional. And then the Kansas KSDE standards for social emotional. This is interesting. They actually removed it from their website and updated it, but you can't access it anymore without asking for it from the state. So it's not like linked to post anymore. So I'm glad that I have the file to be able to go through it. And that just helps with looking at social emotional standards. I think that'll help a lot too with moving forward. Um, this year. And then my professional works, I have KNEA, the Kansas National Education Association, and then the National Child Traumatic Stress Network. I've learned a lot through them on just being trauma informed to better support students. This one provides a lot of resources for anybody that goes to it for families and teachers. And so I visit that often now. And then some resources that I use. Blue is a huge one. My kids love that. We usually play every Friday. It's like an engaging game that we do. I tell them if they work really hard for me all week in small groups, then we can play Blue on Fridays, and they get really excited for small group when I do that. Canva I use a lot. Actually using Canva for my blog and then just creating um, presentations there. Castle is that one that has all the social emotional things and information in it. UPAR is Universal Protocol for Accommodations and Reading. This is actually what we utilize this in special education every year. It's to see where students are reading at their independent level. So it helps us see how far they can read at an independent level and then at what point do they need accommodations. And so that's something that we actually utilize 2 to 3 times a year just to see how they're reading, and it helps us write their IEPs. Bottle is a just a fun like game that I utilize a lot. It helps close their learning gaps in math, reading, and science, and they're actually like their heads are bottles with liquid in them. So the kids love it. They can dress them up. They play a lot on there, and so that's something that I let them do to help kind of fill their gaps that they have. Education.com is just you can create assignments and turn them into games and stuff like that. I use that a lot for progress monitoring and creating worksheets for my kiddos. And then UFly is my go-to for my reading programs. It was the University of Florida Institute is a reading program, but it's rooted in the science of reading, which is what we're really pushing for now in education. And it helps kind of close reading gaps and become stronger readers. I utilize this every day in in my job and just with my small reading groups. It starts at the very basic letter identification and it goes all the way through. There's like 153 lessons within the book, I think. So that's something that I utilize quite a bit every day. And then I put in my book study because that one was something that I loved and really enjoyed. And so I put that in for others to see and I hope read. I've told several coworkers, I'm like, if you need a book study, this is the one to go to because I learned so much from that. So that is all my fun things.
That's great. One of the things I was telling the group last night, one of the things that is so nice right now, when you started your coursework in this program, it was the summer.
Mhm.
And now you're in the trenches, you're going to be able to apply a lot more. And it'll be really interesting to see how much. I know you've already said that you've applied so much that you learned into the work with your students. I think that's awesome. So I think that's just going to continue to get better. I would, the last thing you're on your resources page, what you might consider doing, Michaela, is maybe dividing that into student resources and teacher resources because as you keep adding them, they're going to keep, your list is going to get really long. So maybe just a way to catalog them or, fun sites for students, informative sites for teachers, however you want to divide it, but maybe a construct to divide it like that, would be great. I love the website idea. Great job. That's so cool that you did that and linked it. Also link that on your professional digital footprint page. I think it'd be great because that is part of your footprint, that creation that you did. I have a question. How did your colleagues react?
They all have seemed to like it so far. One of them, our instructional specialist for the district, she was like, I loved it. It was awesome. She took away a lot from that too. So,
Huh?
so far, everyone's liked it, which is great because it was a labor of love. It took quite a while.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Were you able to present?
I have not yet. We have I think it's Thursday, we have professional building development and my boss asked me to share it. So I may be
Oh,
doing
that's
it on Thursday.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm anxious to see how it goes. I would love to see how, like I said, as you proceed, how the things that you're learning, you're implementing in the classroom. And hopefully we can have some blogging on that, some discussions on that as you go through. But I just love the fact that you're learning things that you can apply.
Yeah.
It's not just theory, it's not just something that you read and consider, but can you think of something that you have applied from the book already that I know you mentioned some things, but that you've seen a real result from? Maybe you haven't yet because you just started working with your kiddos, but
Yeah, well, I did a little bit of it. I started it right at the tail end of summer school.
okay.
I
Oh,
was
that's
able to
great.
do a couple things with
Okay.
one of my kids that's on my caseload was on my caseload for
Uh-huh.
summer school. So I tried it for her. The moving away from the behavior chart, that was something that was like, we utilized it a lot last year because her parents
Mhm.
wanted to know how her days were going. But
Okay.
I actually, like, it caused a lot of more issues that I didn't realize that it was a negative effect until I read the book. So we moved away from the behavior chart and we kind of had her be more independent and had her like tell us how she thought her day went. And so that's something I want to continue with her this
Oh,
year.
good. Yeah.
Just for her to tell us how her day went and still send it home in some way, but it's not a full chart where she can get upset if she sees that she didn't have a good 30 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. And we were talking last night too about how, we've discussed UDL in other classes, that universal design for learning, especially in SPED. But as things were developed for SPED, we found that even in the general ed classroom, they're
Yeah.
real effective. So even those behavior, like you said, taking away the behavior checklist, one huge push in education is to give students ownership of their learning. So
Yeah.
that's right along those lines, and the fact that you've found, or the idea that you've found some success in that already is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Very
I'm
interesting.
excited.
So yeah, that's great. Um, I just jotted a few things down, and if you get this, I'm going to send you a picture of it this
Okay.
week. And if you get it and you're like, what did she mean by this? Just
Okay.
pop in a message to me, and
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it and tell you what I meant. But yeah, I think you did a great job. I thought you covered it well. I love the projects that you did. Love the learning. And as I told everyone last night too, your colleagues, I think from now on, it's going to be a little more predictable and probably a little easier because you've done this first contract. You've done the first entries on your portfolio. And like I said, sometimes when you're learning something, it may apply to all of those outcomes on your portfolio, and other times it may just apply to one of them. And that's okay. You don't have to have something on every outcome, every class.
Yeah.
We just hope that by the end of the program, you have at least one thing on each of those outcomes that you've discovered. So that's great. Keep up the good work. Just have you received information on your next coursework?
Yes, I actually got it like th 2 or 3 weeks ago, and
Oh,
I freaked out for a minute because I was like, "Am I supposed to start now, or do I wait?"
good.
But yeah.
No,
Um,
I will open the shelf for emphasis 2 on Sunday.
okay.
And so it'll be very similar to last time. You may have an assignment where I ask you to go back and look at something in your portfolio, or maybe add more resources, or look at this page and develop this or something like that. Most of the time you'll just be working on your coursework. We'll have some blogs intermittently throughout, just like we did before. Um, and so to be very similar, but
Okay.
I'm hoping that the next content that you participate in, I hope is as helpful as this one has been for you. So that's really great. So great. Well, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for going through that. I appreciate it. I will probably post your recording and the recordings from last night. So if you want to go back and watch some of your colleagues present, I actually, the file was so big because we had 4 people that I had to put it on YouTube.
Oh,
I wanted to send it to Dr. Gonzalez Bravo. So I'll put that link on there, and then the link for this recording, and that way you can kind of see some things too. Also, I think I gave you, didn't I give you guys the list of portfolios
yeah.
and blogs? So you can
Yeah.
always go back there and look too as examples, what some of your classmates did, hopefully to kind of help you get some ideas. And um, uh, was it Harry Wong, some educator, a guru, once said, the secret to great teaching is steal, steal, steal. To steal ideas, that it's not really stealing, it's collaboration, and it's, helping each other. So always, take a look at some of those things and get ideas. So that's what it's all about. So continue to push forward. Love to hear how it goes when you present. Maybe shoot me a line and just say how it went. Love to know. And you have a good rest of your week. And
Thank
I'll get your scores in, and I'll get grades in this week, probably tomorrow, the next day, and then we'll be ready to move on to that second course.
All right.
Actually, third course, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, you have a good rest of the week. Have a great start of your year.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.